Okay. We're all still here, right?
Yep.
Present.
Melissa, thanks in advance.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah, this is
Yeah, sure appreciate this.
I mean, this in women in the industry, we have a responsibility to lift each other up and support each other in the ways that we can. So doing things like this and telling stories and connecting with other people is just not only like important for us in our career in the industry, but also just in life. Why have it any other way?
Correct.
Well said.
Yes, very well said. Okay, it says there's 8 participants.
Oh,
I thought it was gonna let us know.
Cool. Hello, everybody who is here right now.
Yeah, maybe let us know where you're coming in from, signing in from.
Maybe we can give a couple minutes and then jump into things.
Sounds good.
Anyone know any good jokes?
Definitely not a joke teller.
me either.
Yeah, never was good at it.
Yeah, I know. It's a talent, I think.
It is a talent for
Yeah.
sure. We actually did a comedy show at the shop, featuring all female comedians. There's across the street from us is Laugh Factory, which is a comedy business, and it was very funny. And when we paired wine with each of the comics based on their styles.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Feel free to steal it. Do it
Yeah.
at the winery.
Yeah. Gotta find some comedians.
I'm sure if you throw something up, they will find you. Feel like
Yeah.
comedians are always looking for opportunities to practice their material.
Yeah, that's probably so true. It'd be fun.
We've had
So
some more people join.
Cool. Okay, well, should we kick things off since we're all prompt people? Bravo, everybody, for being on time, and thanks for joining us for our Women in the Wine World webinar. First time doing this, which is really exciting. My name is Melissa, and I own Bottles Up, which is a retail shop and experience in Chicago. We're going to be 5 this September. And one of the main things we love doing is connecting with other industry professionals and specifically lifting other women up. Obviously, being a women-owned shop, it's very near and dear to my heart. I have known Jill here from Chateau Bellevue for a couple of years, and she asked me to be a part of this, and I immediately said, yes, it sounds exactly what I love doing. So thank you to you, Jill, for looping me into this, and thank you to everyone for being here. We have a couple questions prepared, and we have an awesome group of 3 panelists that maybe I will kick it to them to talk a little bit, just like 30-second elevator pitch about who you are and what you do. So we'll start with Jana from Scott Harvey Wines.
hi, welcome. We're glad you're here. And so my husband and I have a wine company up in Amador County in California, and that is we're in the gold country. It's where gold was discovered. So we focus on Zinfandel and Barbera from this. So the vineyards were planted by the miners all those years ago, and there's still some of those vineyards still here. So it's a very interesting and nice low-key Amador region, wine country region. So we're happy that we're here.
We are too. And then kicking it to Denise from McCann Wines in Napa.
Yes, Denise McCann. I am one of the owners and the CEO of McCann Wines, celebrating 10 years this year. We started in 2014. My son, Chuck, is our winemaker, and we started McCann Wines because he became a winemaker. My husband sold a beloved ski boat, and that's kind of how we started, with some Chardonnay to start. And Chuck has a enology degree from Cal Poly. He decided at 15 that he wanted to be a winemaker. He's the first in our family, which is pretty cool. And he made his way after graduation to the Napa Valley. Chapelet is where he started. And he never left the Napa Valley. My husband and I have moved here since Chuck made the move. So we specialize in Rhone varieties. We source our grapes from prominent vineyards around Sonoma, Napa, also from Amador County and Livermore Valley. So Rhone style wines. I'm trying to get everybody to love Viognier.
You make a good one. I did taste yours. You sent me that sample. It is very good. Also
you.
at 15 years old, wow, I was not doing anything related to wine or that serious at 15 years old. I think it was at an ice cream shop, but
Yeah, me neither. I mean, who wants to know what they're doing at 15 or what they want to do at 15? Some people do, but
kudos to him.
yeah.
And then lastly, but not leastly, Jill from Chateau Bellevue.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks for being with us, first of all. Bottles Up is a great shop in Chicago. If anybody ever has a chance to stop in, they've got a lot of exciting things going on. And Melissa is not one to let moss grow on her. She's always doing something, busy, busy, busy. So thanks a lot for being with us. A lot of people, this is no secret, thought that we were crazy when we moved to Lebanon about 25 years ago and started planting vines and raising our kids in this little mountain village overlooking the sea. But it was the right move. It was the right time. We did it for the right reasons. And the fact that the wines are now being appreciated in, on multiple continents around the world is just kind of a pat on the back. But we've gone from just a couple of acres under vine to 60. We now have farm animals, we've got a winery, we've got a gourmet restaurant with its own organic kitchen, and a boutique hotel. So things have grown and changed over the years, but the consistent factor is the vineyards, which are historic, been there for hundreds of years, and our dedication to that valley. So we've managed to do a lot of good things in just a very short time. Happy to be with you all today.
Such an amazing accomplishment. I mean, to each of you, honestly. And it kind of leads into the first topic and question that we wanted to address, since you have built and created these brands, obviously not just by yourself, but spearheading them, that's for sure. Jana, maybe you can talk about advice for other women looking to launch their own brand or winery or insert, wine-related business here.
Well, I would first of all say, I mean, just facetiously, maybe wait 10 years. It might might not be the ideal time right now, but it's certainly if you have the passion to to get this all going, it's really worth it. But one of the things I would definitely say, and in retrospect for us, for me, is make sure you really want to make sure you have the capital to start. I really think we were undercapitalized. Both my husband and I had come from working for other people, and we thought, I was in sales, he was the winemaker, and we thought, well, what a perfect combination we have. So we'll be an ideal wine company. And then once we didn't know what we were quite getting into at the time, but it's a wonderful career and industry, and everybody is so willing to help you. That's the wonderful thing I found. You know, we had a basic understanding of business since we both been in it for quite a while, but just learning how to do your own is it's, you know, we couldn't have done it without the wine community. And so that's, so if you do think about starting that, um just know it's a lot of hard work, but a labor of love.
I would build on that idea and agree 100%. I also think, you know, it's never a sprint in our industry. First of all, if you're planting vines like we did, you're automatically going to wait until the 4th vintage year in order to harvest any grapes. And so, you know, then surprise, surprise, we had no idea that our grapes would demand, you know, a really long aging period before we even felt that they were ready for release. So, you know, at this point in time, we're going 9 to 10 years with our wine in our own cellars before we launched the wines. The current vintage is 2013. We had no idea when we began. So I think, you know, if you know, startups these days, if you've got in mind the long haul, you know, if you're ready to just think of it as, you know, this is something I'm going to really devote my life to, then you're setting yourself up for the possibility of much more satisfaction and success. And like Mr. Rogers said, find your people and let them support you. Find your helpers, I think he said, something like that. My kids used to watch it a long time ago. But let people help you. And that's one of the reasons why we're here today, because we're, you know, women supporting women. And obviously, you know, there's a lot of diversity in our industry, and that's something that we're growing and trying to support. So thank you all for being here today.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, Jill, or you can do like McCann did. We don't own our own vineyards, so we're working with prominent grape growers in not just Napa Valley, but Sonoma and Amador. You know, they're all over. There's a lot of acreage here in California, so you know, find those connections, and you can build your brand that way too.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that was our business plan too, was not to own anything. And because it's so capital intensive, and we
Yes.
didn't want to spend all of the capital that we raised on bricks and mortar. So we planned from the get-go is not to own a winery, not to build a winery, not to have vineyards. So we leased everything. And we, just like you, Denise, we also you know, we have growers that have been with us pretty much for 20 years now, the same growers, but my husband had already farmed and he didn't want to do that one again. So but it's doable that way as well.
Yeah, and I think that these are all great points, and there's I think sometimes people think that they maybe need to do it all at once right away, and there's nothing wrong with building and starting kind of in phases, especially related to capital, and starting with a certain amount and then putting that into what your priorities are, and then watching things grow, and maybe some ideas you have are going to change, or you're going to have to market a little bit differently. Especially these days, one of the biggest topics right now from a marketing standpoint is reaching younger audiences, and how do you connect with them? How, Denise, maybe have you done that in your experience?
Yeah, it's in the 30 years that I've been in this business, I'm starting to see the change of where, you know, the baby boomers really pushed the California wine industry to where it is today, but millennials and the Gen Z don't think this way. So What McCann has done is, through the platform that we use for, our online store, we have the ability to, I have set up a wine subscription. So we have both the traditional wine club, but also a wine subscription where you can, it's kind of like an Amazon thing. So you basically, as the customer, can make up how you want to receive your wines, which wines you want to receive, how many times you want to receive them. So it really gives a lot of control to the customer as to where a traditional club, which we do allow customization, it's a little bit more controlled on the winery end. So that's something that I've implemented.
When did you launch that? Right away or?
I launched that last summer. So
Great.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's been kind of fun to watch people, it's a handful right now, but it's, starting to catch on where people have this different option. They don't feel like, oh God, I have to buy 6 bottles or 12 bottles every time. It's just a flat 3 bottles. And again, they can skip, they can buy as many times as they want. They can change out what the base wines are. So it really gives them a lot of control.
I think that's a people who doesn't like control. Hard to get sometimes. But yeah, I think having something that's customizable that people can kind of piece together something that makes sense for them, both in budget and also taste profile, is really smart.
Yeah.
Jenna, what have y'all been doing at Scott Harvey?
Well, one thing I think is really important is the messaging to the younger group, because and what's important to them, and reach out to try to to do what to address with them what they're looking for. And right now we know that sustainability and the environment and all those things are so important. And vineyards, express the fact that vineyards are so important to the environment and to the planet. What they contribute is really amazing. Here in California, they don't take as much water as some of the other trees do, and other crops. And let them know this, that being in the wine industry is really beneficial, to the environment, and tell them and let them know about stories of the producers, and how much conviviality can come from having wine and enjoying wine. I know everybody right now is looking for less alcohol. Thinking in our messaging, maybe say 88% alcohol free instead of 12% alcohol, and just in the way we're presenting our wines. Also, different containers. We've just introduced our wine in cans, and it's a nice little, some effervescent rosés, and they've been so popular that now we've added a couple others. And in addition to what you just said about your subscription, we're just starting a can subscription now, since the cans really seem to be taken off. And it's just great to have, a container that you don't have to worry about, taking to the beach or the movies, or, you can kind of slide it in there anywhere.
First line.
Concerts, and so it's
Gianna,
well, we
I
try not
support
to,
it.
tell people that one, but they can figure it out for themselves.
look, I want to also agree with you for sure, but this is a demographic that I just adore. I have 4 of them myself, and I learn so much from my kids all the time. But one thing that I absolutely love is how intentional they are about the things they surround themselves with, the things that they purchase. It's all done, with the idea of authenticity and impact. And they're willing to spend their money on something that has good things behind it, on something that has a good purpose or the right intentions. And I just think that's phenomenal. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
my 2 cents.
Agreed. It definitely been seeing that more so kind of being yourself. That's kind of BU's bottles up. Our unofficial motto is BU, only because it's the initials of the shop, but also it's what we believe. And I think there's everybody should be able to tell their own story very confidently and be proud of what they've accomplished. Because there's forge your own path. People will follow for sure, and they want to hear your stories. We touched a little bit, or Jana, did you mentioned about some just climate change and dealing with environmental influences. It kind of leads into our next question, talking about challenges and wins and what each of you have been doing to overcome challenges. Jill, I don't know if you have one off the top of your head that relates to environment, but maybe if you want to start with one that's a win to be celebrated, and then maybe also talk about just briefly your experience with climate change. I think it's a very important conversation.
Yeah. So if you, where we're located, Beirut is at about the same latitude as Atlanta, if that gives you a mental picture. But we have altitude on our side. So that's why, growing at about, 1,200 meters or almost 4,000 feet of altitude, that's what gives us the opportunity to do it. And the other thing about Lebanon is that you don't get any rain whatsoever all summer long, and we dry farm. So this means we are very, very aware, and we have to work with the conditions that we know will come. So that's made a difference in all the decisions we make about pruning, about how much wine we can grow per square meter, or I mentioned earlier, we have 60 acres under vine, but we only make 25,000 bottles of wine. And that's because of the conditions in which we're growing. We used to harvest into October when we first began. And now really the end of September is definitely the end of our season, our growing season. And we start to harvest the Viognier and the Sauvignon Blanc much earlier. As for a win, I will mention something that I had in mind. We're growing wine in a part of the world which has grown wine. We all know, anybody who's familiar with a book called the Bible will remember that Lebanon and the land of Canaan and all of this, they've been making wine for thousands of years. So it's really been interesting to me to market our wines around the world and have to sort of tell people about the terroir. It's almost shocking that these ancient vineyards actually people don't know too much about them. So when we were I'll keep this brief, but when we were first deciding about the varietals we wanted to plant, we elected to go with the noble grapes so that people would at least have a touchstone. So we're growing Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah, etc. But our little win came a couple of years ago because the winemaker and I decided we were going to do a special wine for my husband. And we decided to use a local traditional variety that has always been grown in our village. It has not really been used for wine commercially before, so we didn't know what to expect. But the results have been super exciting, and we decided, the past year and a half, we've been planting more grapes of these traditional, this varietal in particular, and we plan to start a new brand with it as soon as I've got enough quantity to make it viable. So that was a win that kind of harkens back and is a nod to heritage at the same time. So for me, this is why I'm in it. This is what we're about. So our
I love
small
that.
win.
That's great.
Fantastic.
And it's kind of going back to just kind of, again, forging your own path and being true to yourself and the land there and telling that story and standing behind it. And I think that what I've seen just on the retail end is that people are more open-minded to try new grapes, especially from producers that they respect, or that we're able to tell the stories of the producer and then kind of pass that trust onto the customer. So that's great. I can't wait to try it.
I'll make sure you get some.
Yeah, definitely being in the Rhone world has been tough to, be up against the Chardonnays and the Sauvignon Blancs, especially here in California. So it's always my job is to get people to taste our wine. And then that's the great thing about the younger generations coming in, because they definitely want to try something different.
Now, like Barbera here, we're trying to sell, and people they don't even know. They think, oh no, do you mean Barbara? And then we have to say, no, it's an Italian variety, and it's really does well in our climate and our soil. It's very, very similar to the Piedmont of Italy. So it's and it gets sun here, where in Italy, in Piedmont, it's mainly fog. So they now, their best variety, Nebbiolo, is named after all the fog. And since we don't get fog here, Barbera just thrives. So I know we kind of tend to think it's some of the best Barbera in the world here from Amador.
And I think too, you see a lot of, obviously COVID happened and travel shut down, but now that we're able to travel again, I see a lot more uptick of people traveling to Italy and coming back and wanting to have the varietals that they had over, or even France and the Rhone. And, travel always kind of instigates this conversation when they get back to their home country or city or whatever, that they want to try that or they recognize it from their time over there. So hopefully that will help also, especially as the younger generations start traveling more as well. So to keep us going, just being mindful of time a little bit, this is one of my favorite questions because it's just related to more badass women in the industry. But are there other female-owned companies that you personally admire and follow? And Denise, maybe you can kick us off here.
Yeah, well, I'm obviously going to start, obviously to me, but I'm going to start where I started my wine career back in the early 90s, and that was at Wente Vineyards. At the time, it was still called Wente Brothers, but the woman there, Carolyn Wente, was VP of marketing at the time, and I was working in the export department, which was a very large part of their business. And over the years, she was really able to Wente's been around since 1883. So she was really able to open up the domestic market for them. And then just last year, she was named the Wine Enthusiast 2023 American Wine Legend. She was given that honor. So that was pretty cool. Another person I can think of, honestly, I don't know her very well. We were connected a couple years ago, is Harvest Duhigg with Duhigg Vineyards here in Napa. Her and her husband own some acreage over in the Coombsville area. And she was a large part of Caymus for the last 20 years. I just love how she's just all about her and the wines and I just think that she really, where am I going with this? Yeah, there's just something about her. She's, no holds bar. She just loves what she does. She's very into, the earth and what's happening. I've seen her do yoga around in her vineyards. And I just think, I love that about her. I think it's really cool.
I love that.
I had a brush with greatness recently. A couple of weeks ago, I had the great good fortune to sit next to the very first American female master somm at dinner. And she was just so inspiring and awesome, Madeline Treffin. So little
Cool.
shout out to Madeline. But not 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, I also was a bit starstruck. We had just won our first international competition and my prize was given to me by Gina Gallo. So at that point in time, that was, I didn't have words, but we were just starting off and really small. So it felt like I was just a very small cog in a very, very large machine. Yeah, but good to be part of this industry is incredible.
Agreed. Jana, just to throw it to you, do you have anyone off the top of your head that's either industry or not? Because I think that sometimes what I found as a success and something fun to reach different markets is connecting with other women-owned businesses that aren't necessarily in wine and figuring out ways to collaborate with them and just kind of lift each other up. But just wanted to give you the mic if you have anyone in your head.
It seems like I've mainly dealt with men since
Yeah.
I started in the industry. It was, back then, back in the 80s, there weren't hardly any females in the industry, and it was like, oh my gosh. But I was, again, I had a lot of help, but I'm racking my brain. I know there are so many of you out there. And I know as soon as this webinar is over, I'm going to think of all of you.
And I don't think there's obviously, I mean, my husband's a civil engineer and I make him, he's by product, by nature, just a part of Bottles Up. And we work with so many great humans in general. So I think that's definitely the most important part for anybody in the industry is just to surround yourself with people who are good and who will help and who are honest, and the kind of the values that you believe in as a brand and as a human, having that be your guiding light to avoid problems. Obviously then, like, again, thinking about smaller producers, I like smaller producers just because we're able to do this. We're talking to the people, the direct people behind the brands. What to y'all, maybe Jill, is the importance of supporting smaller producers?
Well, you just nailed it. I mean, I think it's the opportunity for communication direct to the owner or the winemaker, which really makes it, you can be a small producer under the radar, but available. And it's an opportunity for people to understand the provenance of the wine and the reasons why you're doing it. It's all about storytelling, I think. It's easy for me as a small producer. I'm doing things the way that I want. I'm able to oversee every single part of the process, and I can communicate that to the people that I come in contact with. So when they look at the wine and they see that color, I tell them why we get that deep, rich color, for example. And there's a lot going on. I think I'm able to give really good value for the cost because I don't have huge overhead. I am my own marketing machine, etc. We're doing a lot on our own. We're doing all our own farming. So I think that because we're not, part of something big and heavy and corporate, there's a lot of opportunity for authenticity and being real. Quantity is not more important than quality in my mind.
Yeah, agreed. Jana, what do you think about just, or why do you, as a small producer, obviously you want to also support small producers, but why do you think others should as well?
Well, I think one of the things is small companies, small producers, small business in general, we're the lifeblood of the American economy. We have so much job growth. We can, we're hiring all the time in our communities. We give so much back to our communities too, and we could be, just like Jill said with the new variety. We can take those chances. We're small and we can experiment more and more, and we're definitely more innovative. I know that, and we could have more diversity in wines, rather than a big company. It takes them forever to make any kind of moves. I really have this thing for supporting small businesses. And when I'm with my nieces and nephews, I get a big kick. I go, we can't go, no going to chains. We have to go to the small one, little small guys. So I just, being a small company ourselves, I really want to give back to, everybody else. And that's really trying to do their life's work on their own.
Yeah.
Because I know that it's not easy, and the more we can help them, the better.
Agreed. Here to that. It isn't easy, but it is rewarding. And I think we have more fun. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion because of this kind of ability to make decisions and experiment, a little bit more flexibility there. I don't know. I mean, from experience, we can come up with a crazy idea and just do it and see what happens. Obviously, there's managing risk involved with that, but it's less paperwork, let's put it that way.
Yes.
To throw another question in the mix, and maybe Denise, you can start us off with answering this one to just kind of like wrap us up toward the end. What are you most excited about for the future?
Most excited about, well, for 2024 being our 10th year to celebrate, we just opened up into a new wine collective downtown, Napa, which we had been without a tasting room for over a year. So it's good to be back in the trenches, I guess you could say again. We're also moving our production to the caves at Soda Canyon. So we have another whole new place that we can do tastings at, and I'm looking forward to moving up, I should say. Not that our quality needs to move up, because that's definitely not the case, but just having another fantastic venue. And as far as the future, who knows what's going to happen with McCann Wines in 10 years from now. My little grandson will be 11, so maybe by 15 he'll decide that he wants to be a winemaker as well. Who knows? But we started McCann definitely with the idea that it could go on for a long time, and he's already experienced being out in the vineyards and during bottlings and that kind of thing. His dad takes them to those things, so it's kind of fun to watch.
I love that.
Yeah.
Jana, how about you?
Well, I would say this is our 20th anniversary. So we're 10 years ahead of you, Denise.
Yeah.
And I think down the road, I think what we're looking for is retirement. So, I mean, that's what we're excited about. I don't see it happening anytime soon. And unfortunately, none of Scott's children are interested, and my nieces and nephews aren't either. And, so I think they see how hard we all work in this, and it's like, well, maybe there's something else we can do, but they also should have seen, could see how much enjoyment and what a rich life we've lived in these 20 years too. So we hope maybe somebody will still change their mind. But yeah, that's like, I guess more than anything, I think we'll look for the future.
I love it. And you never know who's going to walk into your life sometimes.
That's
I
right.
mean, on my team, all of my team, it kind of like sort of came out of nowhere, and then you don't realize that relationship grows and changes, and then they get more interested in what you're doing, and it's sometimes it happens very organically, so you never know.
Yeah. Well, it's never too late.
Yeah. And Jill, what are you excited about?
Yeah, well, we're just getting to a point where things are in place and we know what we're doing. And there's just, you have the opportunity to almost, I hate to say coast because it's always uphill a little bit, but we're empty nesters, and finally I don't have to do all the travel on my own. So my husband is able to go with me on a lot of our trips. And we happen to, we're not in every market in the United States, but we are in markets where we want to be because we have friends there, families there, or, it's a place that we like to spend time. So it's fun. We're starting to really have fun with it and showing the wines out in the world. It's like sending your kids out into the world, or little ambassadors for Lebanon, which is a very sometimes a misunderstood place in a unfortunately conflicted part of the world. But there are good things and there are good people, and the opportunity to be out there face to face and to talk about our experiences, it's an opportunity to connect, and we all need that. There's just so much room for understanding each other better. The world is not as big as we think it is. So doing my best.
I love it. And succeeding. I think that connection, that driving want and desire and need and joy that connecting brings us all is, from what I've seen from each of you, is what keeps you going for sure. I haven't been able to see if any questions have been coming in on my end. But I am, again, I feel like I will speak for all of you and say that you openly welcome the opportunity to connect with anybody who's watched today. So my contact information is all over the place on our website, and I'm sure y'all are easy to access as well. So if anyone wants to connect directly with anyone that's been a part of this webinar, I would say just holler at us all, and we'll be happy to chat further. And thank you all. Denise, Jana, Jill, everyone who was a part of this afternoon. I'm feeling inspired. I feel like now I'm like ready to go do more work and have a more productive day. Obviously, I think I need to pour a glass of champagne though, because it's been a little bit, so.
Typical.
Yes. But thank you all. This was really
Thanks a lot, Melissa.
wonderful chat.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks everyone
Thanks
for coming.
everybody.
Yes, thank you so much.
I just thought of the two or three women that I admire.
Hey,
and they're right here. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And
Oh.
Stacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
I love
Awesome.
it.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.